Let's go to Sal Capaccio, who now joins us from the broadcast booth down in Denver. Sal, good afternoon, and technically good morning to you still. I just brought this up, Sal, and I hadn't really thought about it too much this week until like the last 24 hours or so. But Elijah Moore, right? This happens across the league, right? Guys get picked up, and a lot of times outside of the playoffs, guys will get picked up off other people's practice squads, the week of a matchup in order to gain a little intel. How much value do you put in both the extra week of preparation? They had to kind of prepare for everybody, though, Sal. And then the addition of having Elijah Moore, a guy who was here during training camp, during install, having, I think, intimate knowledge of what Joe Brady and this offense want to do.
Yeah, I think it helps them a little bit. But I don't think it's the end-all, be-all or anything like that. The Bills know. They're aware. They're going to put in checks. Every single week they put in different checks, different audibles. They're going to change things up on a weekly basis. This happens around the league. It's not just Elijah Moore. Davis Webb is their quarterback's coach, as you guys know. So he'll know a little bit about Josh Allen and maybe Joe Brady. And, there's some crossover between organizations all the time. So I do think it might help them a little bit here and there, but I don't think it's anything that's going to really impact the game per se. Down to guys making. You could even know what they might do conceptually. It doesn't mean you're going to know the exact play. And then the Bills just have to make a play, and this game is going to come down to that.
Sale, taking a look at the injury report, obviously Jordan Poyer and Maxwell Harrison listed as out, but several guys is questionable. Kind of the guy that has been talked about most this week, Terrell Bernard, what it looks like if he is back in the lineup. I think we're all expecting Shaq Thompson to still man that Mike linebacker spot. The other guy that I'm maybe most interested in is Ty Johnson. They elevated Frank Gore Jr. from the practice squad as an elevation. But to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that Ty Johnson's not ready to go. I think you have to do that if there's a question as to whether or not Ty Johnson's going to be able to play with that ankle injury.
Yeah, I think the fact that they elevated Frank Gore Jr. and used an elevation on him probably...
Sal, we're actually experiencing a little technical difficulty up there from the booth, so we'll let you reconnect there in just a moment. I'll pose the same question here to you, Derek. Oh, we've got Sal back?
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yep, go ahead. You're good. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That was on me. My fault. Anyway, it must be the altitude here. Just kidding. But anyway, so the fact that they elevated Frank Gore Jr. Tells me they probably will be without Ty Johnson, but that's not a certainty as of right now, guys, right? I mean, we'll see what happens, but they only get those two elevations, and this team has guys banged up, and we know that. And the fact that they did not activate DeMar Hamlin, I think obviously means that he's not going to be able to play. They only had two roster spots available. They had to do some roster juggling this week, and Frank Gore comes up. Ty Johnson probably not going to play, but we'll see. I mean, he is questionable. Maybe he goes out there and maybe pregame warmups can tell you a different story. And then as far as linebacker is concerned, they also didn't do anything at linebacker as far as remove anybody from the active roster. They have 6 linebackers, so that tells me maybe Terrell Bernard can't go either again because they didn't do anything with Bale Inspector on the back end, which probably just gives you the same lineup you had last week at that position.
Sal, obviously the other name that people are going to be flocking to on the injury report is the elevation of Ed Oliver from injured reserve. How much do you think that he would end up being able to play in this game and the impact that he'd be able to potentially bring? Every game that he played this year, he was fantastic. The only downside is he only got to play in 3 of them.
Yeah, activation, actually, just for the wording there, not elevation. He wasn't on the practice squad, obviously. They activated him to the 53-man roster. No, that's okay, just so everybody's aware, because they activated him and Curtis Samuel off the IR to return list. And I do think he can make an impact in this game. But if you're thinking about, okay, you're suddenly going to fix the run defense that's been leaky this year, I think that's the wrong way to look at it at Oliver. Yes, he could be an impactful guy in the backfield. He can make a TFL. There's no doubt about that. But I think his real impact could come in and maybe pushing the pocket from the inside a little bit, the interior pressure. This is a very, very good Denver Broncos offensive line. They don't allow a lot of sacks, hardly any at all. It's going to be challenging for the Bills to get to him. But if Ed Oliver can create a little bit of havoc on the inside and force Bo Nix to his right or left, then maybe Joey Bosa is waiting for him or Greg Rousseau is waiting for him. And I think that's where Ed Oliver's impact might be felt.
Sal, we're going to find out, once the game starts, what the plan is at safety with no Jordan Poyer in the lineup. I know all week you've kind of been leaning in on, the preparation and really what they've shown all season with Jordan Hancock being the guy when Poyer was off the field in some of those third down situations. And then Poyer kind of just took over in a full-time role in that spot as he just continued to play better and better all season. But you've also mentioned this week, the confidence this team has in Cam Lewis playing the safety position and really being the jack of all trades for them. If you were really thinking about this game, thinking about the matchup, some of the pieces outside of Cortland Sutton, right? Like Evan Ingram's a nice piece on this offense that probably doesn't have the biggest role, but the two speedier receivers, does that maybe lean you in one direction with Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, knowing the speed and their ability to get downfield, of maybe Cam or Hancock, one of those guys over another, just based on what their kind of weapons look like in Denver?
No, for me, it's more about what the Bills need specifically, not to the weapons of Denver. What I mean by that is, yes, they have speed, but I mean, Bo Nix is actually one of the lowest air yard guys in the league. You know what I mean? Like, he checks the ball down a lot. They do not throw the ball downfield a lot. They have the ability to do that, and they'll do it once in a while. But Bo Nix and this offense, they like to kind of check it down a little bit. They don't throw the ball a ton downfield, so I'm not going to worry about that as much. To me, it's more about, is Jordan Hancock ready for this, to the communication piece, to see what he's seeing, to be able to rotate, all those stuff that we talk about all the time with safeties. I feel more comfortable with Cam Lewis there, but it doesn't mean Jordan Hancock do it with a full week's reps. I'm interested to see, once pregame warmups start, guys, who they have out there as the starting safety.
And on the offensive side, Sal, all week the conversation's been around, well, just how important is Tyrell Shavers? How important are Gabriel Davis? How important are these guys to the functioning aspect of this offense? Joe mentioned it earlier. Their top 6 pass catchers since they acquired Brandon Cooks are all still going to be in this game and in this matchup. I sit on the other side, though, because I think the confidence that the Bills have had with Tyrell Shavers out there running and really, Sal, in one-on-one blocking situations with defensive ends, with outside linebackers, that's pretty rare in the NFL that a team has as much confidence as the Bills have had in Shavers specifically in getting those one-on-one battles, not just holding his own, but winning those battles. And I don't know, we had a caller call in. It's like, oh, gosh, what a concept. Now they're going to have receivers that can go out and catch the football instead of just blocking. And I know it's a little, tongue-in-cheek, but I think that largely blockers in this offense, especially an offense as potent as this Bills team is in the run game, I might not want to sleep on how important Tyrell Shavers is to the function of this rush offense.
100%. And they used Tyrell Shavers last week and Gabe Davis as chippers in the passing game for pass protection. Again, this is a really good blocking wide receiver. I understand it. You want guys. I do feel it's really interesting, and I'm curious to see, guys, how this wide receiver core is utilized, because they do have more speed. They do have pass catchers. They don't have those run blockers. But the Bills' identity is running the football, and it's going to hurt them to get away a little bit from what they do. They're going to have to figure out a different way. But hey, maybe Jackson Hawes gets more time, right? This could be a Jackson Hawes Reggie Gilliam game, right? And say, okay, we're going to use those guys to make sure that our run game stays on track. So I'm super interested in that.
All right, Sal, we'll hear from you in the Bills Roundtable next hour.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Sal Capaccio there joining us live from the broadcast booth in Denver. Quick update in the Sabres game. Still 1-1. Sabres were on a 5-on-3, and they are expiring on their 5-on-3 opportunity here. So
not even 5-on-3, the entirety of it. All of the penalty.
Stinking the penalty.
Yeah, the power play made my blood boil a little
And
bit.
if you would like any updates, you can, of course, switch over to our sister station, the Bet 1520, as they've got Sabres. They have the Sabres broadcast, and they'll also have post-game